I'm really triggered right now, and I'm about to attack your favorite person. I'm really triggered right now, and this is the second time I've addressed this shit, and I keep seeing it, and I don't know whether to calmly express myself for this video or go like 2008 SWP style and just literally black the fuck out, because I can like feel the anxiety in my chest about to explode, because this pisses me off, and he keeps doing it. And I'm talking about Professor Black Truth. And I like Professor Black Truth, and I like a lot of his content. But I'm really starting to believe that this nigga is pussy. 100% pussy. 100% pussy. Because he keeps talking out of both sides of his face. And I leave comments over there. I don't know if I'm blocked or whatever. I've been leaving comments over there. For years, I've been leaving comments over there. And because I catch him, he keeps doing this bullshit. Where when it comes to the Second Amendment, he attacks Clarence Thomas, who's, again, the only one that's protecting the damn right. Black people live in these blue enclaves. We talk about the politics. The Democratic agenda and the black agenda are two different things, right? These pro-black voices, Black Authority, he dances around the shit too, right? But there's this constant talking out of both sides of their face where they talk about we live in this hostile environment, we're in a hostile white supremacy this, white supremacy that, right? They're coming to get us, the boogeyman, all this shit. But then as soon as we get to actually arming ourselves and protecting ourselves and having some demonstration of force, you know what I'm saying? If it actually came down to cracking a shot, this nigga pussy. Because he always stops short of supporting anything that really espouses the Second Amendment, especially politically. Black people should be telling Democrats that we want to be able to defend ourselves. We see the threats. We see the Dylon roofs. We see the dude that went and shot up the buffalo and everything, and we want to be able to protect ourselves. It's just that simple. Not to mention the fact that we also do have to protect ourselves from Ray Ray and Pookie in the community. Black people don't want to set up businesses in the black community for fear of getting robbed or fear of getting carjacked. That shit needs to stop. And that is going to be black male violence on black male violence, but in a different context. Just like the white community has its enforcers to maintain even the white people in their own communities. White men can't just run around and commit crimes all over the place and act like they're not going to get checked by other white men. But what pisses me off with him is, and he does it every fucking time. I mean, even this shit like, white people, they have guns because they want to control us, but we don't need guns in order to us to have freedom because of fluffy Care Bears and our indomitable spirit. And we can stop white supremacy how, nigga? With what? With what? How, like in other words, power only respects power. He knows this. Force only respects force. But yet he sounds like a black woman every time we get down to the brass tacks of actually demonstrating, hey, you're not just going to come over here and do X, Y, and Z. And when it comes to actually preserving this right for future generations of black children so that they actually have access to firearms. I'm talking about the big guns. This talk that he's bringing up about assault weapons bans. I'm like, nigga, if white people are doing that shit in the white, what the fuck does that really have to do with us? By and large, yeah, I know about the Buffalo shit, but what does that really have to do with us? He even brought it up in his own video, talking about, inner city violence and his handguns and Dylon Roof. He said he's not trying to go out there and really confront black men on the block. Same thing I talked about a week or two ago, right? They hit soft targets. So black people need to harden their soft targets. It's just that simple. We live in a hostile environment. What are you going to, okay, ban all the guns. The guns are banned. And then black people are going to be out here in a country where white people outnumber you 5-1. And what's supposed to be? It's supposed to be a bunch of people running at each other like with machetes and swords and shit, like it's fucking Braveheart out this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying even tactically what he's saying is retarded. It's retarded. And every pro-black voice seems to go up there and say that. Like, I'm really thinking, this nigga's suspect to me. I'm like, nigga, you a bot. Like, for real, you a bot or something. You talk all this pro-blackity black shit, but then as soon as we get to black people being armed, and hey man, we gotta support the Second Amendment, because if we want to have access to whatever, the M16, the M, the not M16 but AR-15 style weapons, right? Or if we want to have access to assault weapons and body armor and ammunition, just to let the fucking, whatever the white supremacists are doing, say, hey man, it ain't gonna be Tulsa over here. It ain't gonna be Rosewood over here. It's not gonna be Elaine, Arkansas over here. It's not gonna be Wilmington, North Carolina, the insurrection of 1898 over here. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be you just walk up in the church and shoot the fucking place up. You know what I'm saying? You see two brothers standing in front of the church armed with AR-15s. That type of shit. That's the type sorry, but that's the nation that we live in. You know what I'm saying? And people are going to keep trying it and keep pushing the envelope, and all the crazies, they're going to keep doing this shit, especially because people keep putting it in their mind, because they keep having these discussions about it and show how much they're affected by, all the gun violence and gun issues and everything else like that. So they're like, ooh, let me add to that. Let me agitate. Same thing the New Zealand shooter said at the Christ Church. Same thing that the Buffalo shooter said in their little manifestos. They said the exact same thing. I just don't buy a disarmed black empowerment. And then this nigga got the audacity in the middle of the video to talk about power tools and make sure you have power tools. He's talking about being armed, but yet we can't talk about politically defending and supporting those rights. We can't talk about that. I don't get it. Like, I do not get it. I cannot wrap my head around the shit. Like, it makes me think that this nigga is actually, like, really being backed by white supremacists that are like, yeah, talk all that pro-blackity black stuff, but make sure you stop short of actually going out here and telling black people to really support the Second Amendment. Like, in other words, it doesn't matter whether you say power tools if next year some laws are passed and then those guns are banned. Like, in other words, his little power tools spiel don't mean jack shit in the state of New York, which is why those black people in Buffalo were lacking in that goddamn supermarket. I don't get black people with this. With this whole, have what you need and we gonna have what we need and we got this and we got that. And then you don't even think about future generations. This is such a short-sightedness on every fucking topic when it comes to black people. Economically, we don't think about future generations. Defensively, we don't think about future generations. Militaristically, we don't think about future generations. Like, we don't think about that shit. White people are trying to preserve that shit for future generations. Whether they think that there's going to be some recourse of action or retaliation for slavery coming from black people, they're making sure that their genetic lineage is not going to be cut off, wiped out, or eradicated. Black people, on the other hand, talk nonsense. I mean, I've never heard such a magical statement. Y'all can listen to it. Y'all can listen to it for yourself.
They mean power. That's what it means to them. If there's one thing black people should have learned by now, it's that when these white supremacists use the language, they mean something entirely different than the way the dictionary says it, which is what black people think the words mean. That's why these white supremacists, especially the white right, are always saying they need guns to keep their freedom. They say it constantly. They don't say we need freedom of speech to keep our freedom. They don't say we need religion to keep our freedom. They say we need guns if we're going to keep our freedom. Because the way they mean it, they need guns to keep their power. Nobody else talks like this, except for them. Black people don't need guns to keep our power. Our ingenuity, our cultural vibrancy, and indomitable spirit, that is our power. What we need is to be able to stop these white supremacists from oppressing us. But for them, guns is how they intend to make sure that never happens.
And then I'm like, okay, you just identified that white supremacy is maintaining power through being armed and operating however they operate, right? Because they understand power and force. And then you tell black people that there's some spiritual way of us getting things accomplished. You know, I'm like, man, if that ain't some woman type shit. It's like I said, these bitches that run around acting like a fucking restraining order is gonna prevent their abusive boyfriend from showing the fuck up and doing something. I'm like, and what if he does show up? Who gives a fuck if you got a piece of paper, bitch? What the fuck are you gonna do if he does show up? What, use harsh language? What are you gonna do if he shows up? And this is black. This is the black truth, the Professor Black Truth. I'm like, okay, get rid of assault weapons. And what are you gonna do if fucking 10 white supremacists show up on your doorstep, nigga? Fuck are you gonna do with your non-existent firearms? That now, because we supported assault weapons ban, the only thing you can do is secretly hide them in the floors and hide them in the walls and hopefully pass on that gun and the dwindling ammunition that you have to your grandson and everything. And maybe you go out in the woods somewhere and shoot, because you can't go to a gun range because now the guns that are banned, you can't even bring out in public to go train and teach your son at an authorized range. Because what you have is banned. I don't understand these niggas, and this is why this nigga's suspect to me. He's suspect. There's a lot of other pro-black groups out here that I respect a lot more, because at least they over there talking about, you know, it's like, in other words, like there's the people who talk this shit, they talk a good game, and Professor Black Truth is one of them. He talks a hell of a good game, right? But the thing is he ain't about nothing. He ain't about the smoke. He talks about the smoke, but he ain't really about the smoke, right? But then when you go over to some of these other black militia, you know, type groups, their attitude is, motherfucker, we got the firepower. Don't start none, won't be none. You see what I'm saying? Like with him, like the fact, the short-sightedness, and what really irritates me with him is, I'm like, you an intelligent black man. How the fuck do you overlook this part right here? You talk about economic empowerment, you talk about educational empowerment, you talk about group economics, right? You talk about, you know, black people working together. We talk about all these things. But then when we get to the discussion of actual fucking self-defense, when we talk about the discussion of being able to thwart the agents of white supremacy, it's like this nigga's like, oh no, we have nothing on the table when it comes to the agenda of making sure that these rights stay enshrined. Like, in other words, that's what it's going to be. You're not going to be able to go out here and you stay armed and white supremacy is going to be disarmed. That's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to disarm white supremacy and stay armed. Okay? The fact of the matter is, they got their shit and you need to have your shit too. That's always been the issue. The issue has not been white supremacists being armed. They've been armed since the conception of this nation. The issue is your black ass has been disarmed. And your black ass keeps going up there and co-signing these fucking laws that continue to disarm your black ass. And then when some shit pops off, your black ass is sitting there looking fucking stupid. You sitting there like an asshole listening to people like Professor Black Truth with nothing but your candy sweet ass standing out there with nothing on you. Fucking lacking. And y'all eat this shit up. Y'all listening to this shit, co-signing this bullshit. Fuck that nigga. God damn. I don't get it. What is with this bitch ass shit? You ain't prepared for shit. If some shit pop off, you can't fucking respond. Your children can't fucking respond. Your grandchildren can't fucking respond. Your great-grandchildren can't fucking respond with the dumbass bullshit this nigga is talking. The fuck? God damn, I'm so triggered right now. And this is what happens all the fucking time. All these old niggas, I don't even know how old Professor Black Truth is, but I'm just saying, like, all these niggas, they up here, they talk all this bro blackity black shit. They talk a good game and all that shit. But if it came down to it, if it came down to cracking a shot, if some shit were to really pop off, these niggas is pussy. These niggas is pussy. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I take some of these street niggas to the range, which I've done. I grew up in the fucking suburbs. I ain't grow up with shots around me and everything. I get a rush when I lick a shot at the fucking range. I bring a nigga to the range that I'm thinking, you know, he comes from a street background. He didn't have it as sweet as I did. I'm in the range. I'm blasting and shit. This nigga jumping and shit. This nigga, oh, you know what I'm saying? I hand a nigga the gun. The nigga picks it up like it's a wet diaper. I'm like, nigga, I thought you was gangster. Nigga, I thought you bust shit. And the nigga up there literally holding the gun, you know, from the damn like the end of the magazine well. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do I hold it like this? You know what I'm like, oh my God, man, nigga, I thought you grew up in the hood. You know what I mean? I thought you would come in here at the very least on some side shooting shit and you like, yeah, man, I get a rush. No. Motherfucker, that shit let off. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all niggas that go to the range on a regular basis, right? Because it's a closed environment. And when you fire around, the concussion, because the sound is bouncing off the walls, it hits you in your chest. So I'm sitting there blasting, this nigga jumping like as though he got shot, and he checking himself to see if a round hit him. I'm like, nigga, that's the echo, that's the concussion, because we're in a closed space and we're firing off rounds. That's the pressure. That's what's going to happen. I'm like, damn, ain't you never fired? Nah, most of these niggas ain't fired shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is why a lot of times when they bust shit, they don't even hit shit. Because they don't train. They don't practice. This nigga fails. This nigga fails the active black empowerment litmus test every fucking time. Professor Black Truth, he fails the shit every time, because every time we come to the gun issue, this nigga just, when it comes down to supporting it politically, again, you don't want to vote for the Republicans? Fine. Tell the Democrats it's off the table. If they can't win without us, then tell it, hey, it's off the table. We don't have a mass shooting problem in the inner city. We don't. We have an economic problem due to prolonged exposure to poverty. Resolve that issue, and most of the violence will go away. Yes, you're always going to have acts of violence with guns in American society as long as people have access to firearms, because it's a tool, and a tool can be used for good and it can be used for evil. But you got to balance that shit out. You got to balance that shit out, right? If it's like if you playing football, right? Let's say I'm a coach of a high school football team, and the other high school football team is big as shit, right? So what do we do? Try to, I don't know, give them a dysentery or something like that. Give them EHEC, right? You know what I'm saying? E. coli, you know, like is that what we should do? To hopefully get them sick so that they can't play us. Or should I be telling my team, get in the fucking gym, get your weight up, so that when we hit the football field, you know, y'all ain't getting pushed around and you could do some damage yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this nigga's scared of getting raided, or maybe this nigga's scared of saying something, you know, about black people being armed and everything, and says the shit all coded and whatnot. But the fact that he's literally, and I'll put the link in the description box, he's literally co-signing assault weapons ban. He's literally co-signing. I'm like, that's the most effective tool that we have if some shit pops off. That's the most effective tool that we have. Why is it Ray Ray and Pookie gets this shit? The niggas that's out there actually battling, fighting they ops and everything, they want the most firepower they can get. It's like black men understand that when it comes to their ops, the niggas that's in the streets. But then when it comes to the other intellectual black people, these niggas are pussy. They are pussy. You know what I'm saying? They don't even think like guns are guns. And they go up here and I'm like, you're low-key talking liberal talking points. You telling black people to get off the Democratic plantation. You got a problem with Democrats and everything. And then he comes online and starts co-signing this shit. Yes, we must get rid of assault weapons and universal background checks. I'm like, nigga, you sound just like them. You sound just like them. Like, I don't get it. Again, I don't know how old Professor Black Truth is, if he's a different generation or something. But like I said, man, these old niggas, I mean, do not listen to these niggas when it comes to guns and protection and everything. Because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, they gonna have you standing out there with nothing but your ass, lacking, whether it's from threats inside the black community or threats outside the black community. They gonna have you out there with nothing but your ass. Man, that shit just pisses me off, man. I mean, that shit just. I'm like, nigga, are you serious? We don't need guns. We have the will and the way, and I'm like, what? What? This is magic talk. This is magic talk, my nigga. Magic talk. And these are the people that bubble to the top, when it comes to pro-black conversations. It makes no sense. We weren't enslaved and then went back to Africa. No, we're still in the hostile environment. We're still in the hostile space. Black people say this every fucking day. And then y'all act like, I swear, if black people were standing in front of the Captain Planet, and Captain Planet asked them which ring they would pick up, they would be like, oh, I want the heart ring. I want to be Mateo. Heart, white supremacy, heart. Me, I'm like, nigga, where the fire at? Where the fire at? Captain Planet be like, you're black, you get earth. I'm like, fuck that. I don't get earth, nigga. I want fire. Fuck the redheaded white kid. Give me the fire. I want the fire. But Professor Black Truth, he be up there, heart, because we have the will and we have the way and we have ingenuity, and we have pro-blackness. Yes, heart, white supremacy. And he keeps bringing up Kyle Rittenhouse. Look, I'm not going to sit up in here and defend Kyle Rittenhouse, okay? I think that he got caught up in all these ideas, to be a masculine white male, you got to protect the community from the others and the black people. And yeah, Kyle, these leftists and these black people, they're gonna try to burn down our businesses. No, they're not, right? Again, and this is the funny part. Like it's like pro-black men want to shit on white supremacy, but technically speaking, it should be hats off to white supremacy, because white supremacy does exactly what we should be doing. Our communities would look better if we were doing that. If we were standing in front of our business and saying, hey, man, you ain't going to tear down shit. Fuck that. We take pride in our community. Hey, man, ain't going to be no child molesters running around our community. We take pride in our community. Right? Hey, man, it's not going to be, the drug dealers on the corner selling the kids or whatever. We take pride in our black community. You got to give it up to white supremacy for taking pride in their shit, regardless of how evil you think it is. You got to give it up. But anyway, getting back to Kyle Rittenhouse, and he's like, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse and the white supremacists and all this other bullshit. I'm like, look, I don't agree why he was there. I don't agree that he should have been 17 out there open carrying a rifle. But we all saw the videos. Rosenbaum, the Jewish guy that got shot in the head, was up there, shoot me, nigga. Shoot me, nigga. And then chased down Kyle. Kyle ran away. Grosskreutz, who had a firearm that he shouldn't have had because it was illegal. The guy that got his bicep blown off. Okay? He had a gun. He was chasing Kyle when Kyle was running away. Okay, and then you got the dude with the skateboard, that thought he was the fucking black kid on the skateboard, or no, that he had rollerblades, not skateboard. But I was gonna say the black kid in Streets of Rage. But this motherfucker thought that he was gonna go up there and smack somebody with a fucking. I'm like, all three of these white guys. I'm like, nah, you was looking for it and you found it. I don't know what genius out there thinks that it's a smart thing to chase a guy with a fucking rifle. And then Gross Krauts, despite the fact that he was, illegally possessed a firearm, nigga, if you gonna chase somebody with your gun, be strong enough to fucking use it, as opposed to, I'm just chasing them. It's a tool of intimidation. You see what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing with black men, especially old black men. They think guns are tools of intimidation. No, they are to be used. I want the biggest gun I can have. I want the biggest rounds I can shoot. I want the most amount of ammunition I can have. I ain't fucking around. But y'all pussy niggas up here always talking this bullshit like you ready to do something, but you ain't willing to bust a grape in a fruit fight. I see that shit. I don't have guns just because. You know what I'm saying? Same thing I said about this damn shooting. I know so many motherfuckers that didn't even watch the video of Buffalo. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say the violence. But then they want to come to me and ask me about self-defense. And I'm reluctant to tell them anything, because I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and co-sign you having a firearm if you don't even want to see what that gun is capable of doing on the receiving end. Because that's what the shit is for. Like, again, somebody said in my comment section, what does a gun do? Yeah, have a motherfucker's head on the ground looking like somebody smashed a watermelon. That's what the fuck it does. And if you can't visualize that, or you can't accept seeing that, then nigga, maybe you shouldn't be exercising the Second Amendment right. If you can't handle, pointing that at another human being. That's how graphic it is. That's how graphic it is. It's like people that want to sit there, I want to be a surgeon, and they can't stand the sight of blood. The fuck? Nigga, you need to go into another occupation. Just like these cops that go out here and they have to use their firearm and shoot somebody, and then you see them hyperventilating, at the scene. Why are you hyperventilating? What, you didn't envision the fact that one day you might actually use that fire? Nigga, get the fuck out of the fucking profession. Just get out. You ain't built for the shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like bouncers that turn pussy anytime a fight breaks out. They way in the back and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm over there. I need help and shit. These niggas way in the fucking back. You know what I mean? Like, I can't stand that shit. Motherfuckers be out here talking shit. They ain't with it. If some shit actually pops off, they literally just want to be intellectuals and pontificate. That's all they want to do. But if some shit pops off, you know what I mean? The fact of the matter is black people are outnumbered in this country when it comes to white folks. 5-1. There is not going to be a race war or some sort of crazy revolution. But when the white boys come over into our space with the fuck shit, they catch that smoke too. We got no issue giving smoke to each other. But when it comes to them, all of a sudden niggas want to turn pussy. They don't want to spell shit out. They don't want to say shit. I don't get that shit. This nigga looked pussy to me. Plain and simple. He looked pussy. I'm like, here we go again. I'm just listening. I'm like, really? I'm like, assault weapons bans? I'm like, again, how is that black empowerment? How is that black empowerment? We are the only black people, pretty much, on planet Earth, right? I want you to think about this. People want to talk about global white supremacy. African Americans are the only black people on planet Earth that have access to AR-15s or any other host of semi-automatic rifles. That they can walk into a store, go through a background check, and walk home with the rifle. That is a right that freaking ex-slaves, would have dreamed of. First thing after the emancipation of black people, first thing, oh man, we got to come down with the Jim Crow, and we got to come down with all these laws that prevent black people from having access to firepower. Like I said, I don't pay attention to what white supremacy gives me access to. Oh, you can have all the Jesus and Allah that you want. You can have all the Most High that you want. You can drown in it for all we care, right? But as it pertains to capital, as it pertains to firepower, they're like, oh no, we gotta create laws, we gotta create policies and ways in which to deny these niggas that shit. Again, if religion and all the magical shit was so powerful, then why the fuck would they give it to you? Why wouldn't they keep it for themselves? No, because they know it keeps your ass distracted and all spiritual and emotional and shit. These niggas that sit around and they act like they're so pro blackity black and y'all feel good when you listen to them and you pat each other on the back. They ain't about shit. They pussy. I'm telling you, they pussy. I'm like, here we go again with this assault, like as though white people not having assault weapons is somehow going to make black people safer. I'm like, you have no ability to protect yourself. They still outnumber you 5-1. What don't you get about that? You're still here. Y'all niggas ain't talking about leaving. You're not talking about going to Africa or anywhere else. You're still here. You want to stay here. You feel entitled. Oh, we shed so much blood for this country, this, that, and the third. And yet, you somehow think that the best course of action is to somehow disarm them so that you're disarmed. Like I said, black people's main issue when it comes to this is the fact that they look at it like, well, if I can't do what white people do, right? That's what they have in their head. If I can't do what they do, then they shouldn't have the right. Right? So denying them in the process of denying yourself. That's how black people process the shit. And again, if you got black people on our side, like Ray Ray and Pookie, that don't follow the laws, and they're going to have their shit, and then you have, obviously, the white militia types, they're going to have their shit, regardless of whatever the fuck is banned. They're still going to have their shit. They'll be the main ones that completely ignore the laws. You know what I'm saying? Like, your regular people, your regular average Joes, they don't even own firearms, so they're indifferent to it. They don't even give a shit. But your militia types, you know what I'm saying? Your white supremacist types that y'all always want to point to, they ain't giving up a fucking thing. And so now, the white supremacist militia types, they're still going to have their shit. And then Ray Ray and Pookie still going to have his shit. And then you're going to be sitting there in the middle with nothing. Because you're a law-abiding black citizen, aren't you? You're a good little boy, aren't you? So, and Ray Ray and Pookie is still going to be freaking terrorizing the black community. Still going to be running around and blowing, educated black people away like they did that brother over there at the Seaside Lounge in Houston. Right? They still going to be doing that. So you just going to be out there on your own, unprotected. Right? And then this even further reinforces black women running up and talking about how weak niggas are, how all these intellectual niggas that got YouTube channels and how weak y'all niggas are because you can't respond. You can't respond to Ray Ray and Pookie because you ain't got no fucking firepower. When the white supremacists come through, you can't respond because you ain't got no fucking firepower. And so you out there with nothing but your ass. And then all that's going to happen is the Professor of Black Truth is going to get online and give us another intellectual lecture about how we're going to move towards black empowerment with words. With words. Yes, we need to get on code so that we can use our words more effectively. That's what we need to do to fight white supremacy. We need to just use our words and hold them to the text of their own laws and government. And I'm like, okay, I'm with you on that. I'm 100%. I totally agree with you that we need to get on code, right? And we need to hold them to the words of the laws that they have created. I'm with you 100%. But what happens when one of them motherfuckers cross the line? What you got for them? What you got? What you got? Your baseball bat? Your hockey stick? Right? What you got? What you got? What you got? The end of a broom handle, a mop? What you got for them? What you got? You know what I'm saying? All that dumbass shit that you see with the Proud Boys. They out there clashing in the streets, and they got their riot shields, and they're punching each other and all that other shit. I don't play that shit. I don't play that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna put myself in the middle of that bullshit. You know what I mean? I like that. I like that TikTok video with the guy walking around the street. And he was asking the dude, and he was like, "Yeah, what would you do if I tried to fight you or something like that?" And the dude was like, he was from New York. He was like, "I don't fight." And you knew exactly what he meant when he said, "I don't fight." That's right. I get the bussing. All that goofy shit. People out here, I'm mad at you. I'm gonna throw my. I don't play that shit. I'm too old for that shit. I don't play that shit. You know, like I like how somebody put it in my comment section. They were like, "Yeah, once you become grown, like once you get past a certain age, there is no fighting anymore. There is no throwing fist and kicking. No, every situation is life or death. Motherfucker, I'm going home alive." I don't get it, man. I don't get it. This is, like I said, you know, people don't catch this shit. This nigga's been doing this shit multiple times for as long as, again, he's been online pretty much as long as I've been online. And I'm like, and I pay very special close attention. I'm like, every time we get to the Second Amendment, every time there's a fucking mass shooting, this nigga talks about white supremacy and how these guns need to be banned. And I'm like, well, where does that leave black people? Because if they ban it for them, it's going to be banned for us. And I'm saying we already stupidly, culturally speaking, we don't support it. We don't exercise the Second Amendment like that in large scale. Ray and Pookie does. But I'm saying your average black citizen, they don't. You know what I'm saying? All the people that swear that they're such good people, they're such good moral Christians and everything and whatnot. Like, this is why I hate fucking Christianity, all this pussy ass shit that it fucking promotes. All the good people in the black community, all the people with the ideas and the so-called wisdom are powerless. They have ineffectual Christianity. They have ineffective morality. It's ineffective. You know what I'm saying? First off, they can't force their will on anybody. And then second off, if somebody comes with the rah-rah shit, they can't even fucking respond. But yet, they get online and, oh man, we got some words for you. You know? As Professor Black Truth said, and soaring rhetoric. Yeah, a bunch of soaring fucking rhetoric. That's it. That's it. I'm trying to understand where's the wizard chest? Like, where's the tactical move here? Okay, so we live in a racist, white supremacist nation. The cops are racist. They got a bunch of white supremacists out there. They want to take us out. You know, they have attacks on us every now and again. Okay, his solution is to ban assault weapons so that the white supremacists won't have the tools to attack us. Okay, so, but the law enforcement, the racist law enforcement, they're still going to have their shit. Okay, so how do we respond and react to that? Oh, I guess we don't. I guess we just we just use the courts and we just debate and then we just constantly have this circular argument about how evil white supremacy is and they keep doing what they're doing. But we don't really have any effectual way of responding or even thwarting them from doing fucked up shit. Right? And then on top of that, because of the economic situation, we got Ray and Pookie in the community terrorizing, drive-bys, all this criminal activity. And then, like, we have no way to respond to that. So we can't even establish a stable foundation even for our families because we have no way of shutting that shit down. Right? So I'm like, okay, so the shit's banned. So then we don't have access to it. So I'm going to be, out there with what? My little 6-shot revolver, my 2-shot Derringer. On top of the fact that even when it comes to concealed carry, niggas like Professor Black Truth don't even really support that. When has he made a single video about get your concealed carry license? And I'm talking about a dedicated video. These niggas don't do it. Black Authority, the same thing. They mention it in passing or in real coded and shit like that. I'm like, black people need to have a whatever, people say a come to Jesus moment. Black people need to have a come to Hotep moment. I'm like the law, the rights and the laws are there for you to be able to legally defend yourself. They're there. Or legally to be able to arm yourself. They're there, but we don't take that upon ourselves. I'm so sick of hearing black people, your ancestors died for the right for you to vote. But I don't hear that about the Second Amendment. Your ancestors died for you to be able to get these firearms that they couldn't get in the 1920s when fucking Tulsa was burned down to the ground. You see what I'm saying? That when they couldn't defend themselves, and then all you're going to do is open ourselves up and future generations to that level of defenselessness. Nigga, fuck you. You an agent of white supremacy. You just as bad as them. What's the difference between Professor Black Truth saying we need to ban assault weapons and a white supremacist coming through and saying we got to find some way to disarm black people? What's the difference? It's the same outcome. What's the difference? What's the difference? Somebody tell me. Tell me, what's the difference? Either way, you're going to be out there with nothing but your stinking ass if some shit were to pop off. Plain and simple. I don't get it. I don't get it. And then the only time, and I was talking to somebody else about the shit, and it's like the only time black people want to talk about self-defense is when some horrible shit pops off. That's the only time niggas hop in my messages, hop in my comment section, asking about what they should buy, asking me about a video about, hey Pete, man, remember that list of gun websites? You got that list again to buy shit online so I can transfer it to my FFL? You got that list again? Man, Pete, where you buy ammo from? You see what I'm saying? I don't fucking get us, man. I just don't. Niggas ain't serious, man. They not serious about their own self-preservation. I've never seen such a retarded group. You think Israel plays those games? You think they play those games? No, they don't play those games. But black people, I mean, it's just, and you want to talk about where the self-hatred comes in for me. Like, this is where the self-hatred comes in for me. Because the shit that I hear black people talk, it sounds good. It sounds beautiful. But when you get down to the brass tacks, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we're trying to play chess, and a nigga's like, okay, I'm going to make my first move. Okay, what's your first move? And he literally knocks his queen over. I'm like, huh? But nigga, that's the most powerful piece on the board. Just literally just knocks it over. It takes it off the board and then says, we shall now play because of our superior blackness. I can beat chess without the queen. I'm like, where have you demonstrated that shit, nigga? I'm like, you just took our most powerful piece all out of the fucking, like, out of the game. What, and then they still got theirs. The fuck? I'm so done. I'm done. I feel like I'm like the only person who's serious about like legit black empowerment. Not that I disagree with the other talking points that he makes, but this is where he fails. It's like when you hear white people talking about the Second Amendment and they say, why is the Second Amendment so important? Why was it the Second Amendment and not the 11th Amendment or the 10th Amendment or some shit like that? Why was it the Second Amendment? Because that amendment allows you to protect and defend all the other ones. But for black people, I mean, the short-sightedness, the lack of critical thinking, shit, man. I have my days where I listen to niggas and I'm just like, man, I don't even blame black women for not wanting to follow us. Because some of the shit that we say is straight retarded. I mean, straight up and down retardedness. Anyway, man, I'm just belaboring the point, man. I'm just, like I said, man, I'm like, these niggas ain't serious. Like, just hit me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt that way before, and I thought that, okay, maybe he don't get it. Maybe it'll change. Nah, man. Not after all this time. I'm like, nah, this is what this nigga is on. You know what I mean? He wants to talk out of both sides of his face, and in one breath, power tools, and da-da-da-da-da, and then turn around, and we need an assault weapons ban. I'm like, that's the biggest power tool of them all. And when they come out with lasers and phaser beams from Star Trek, I want that too. When they come out with Han Solo blaster, I want that too. When they come out with Mandalorian armor, I want that too. And the motherfucking jetpack. I want the Boba Fett helmet and jetpack. And when they come out with lightsabers, I want one of them too. The fuck, nigga? I mean, just... These niggas ain't serious, man. They literally just want intellectual masturbation of a pro-black conversation. But if it really came down to it, if white supremacists kicked in the fucking door, these niggas would be, they wouldn't be prepared. They would not be prepared. They would, oh man. And this is the men that we're talking about. I can deal with women talking this stupid shit because women can only see themselves at the receiving end of the barrel. Women don't do the fighting. So as far as women are concerned, they're just like, well, ban it all, and then we'll be safer. That's like women logic. But when you know that the savages are out there, when you know that the wolves are fucking outside your door, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole notion of I'm just going to have nothing. Nah. In other words, if I got a knife and the wolf has fangs, I'd rather have my knife and the wolf have fangs than the wolf not have fangs and I have no knife and I got to still go out there and fight a pack of wolves. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, that whole, I mean, this is the same thing when we talk about nations and shit. Like, that's what kills me about, all this, and we need to disarm the American people type shit. I'm like, and which one of you nations are giving up your nukes? Which one of you giving up your nukes? And why? Because we don't trust the opposition. Exactly. That's why I ain't giving up my shit. I mean, the motherfuckers make no goddamn sense. No assault weapon, no assault weapons, and then what? What happened if white supremacy was like, all you niggas report back to your slave quarters, back on the plantation? What would black people do? I guess you'd be out there with your 9mm thinking that's gonna do something. And you can't even hit the broadside of a fucking barn with that shit. This shit just drives. I can't with my people sometimes, man. I really can't. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's my video. SWP out.